What's going on, family? I want to welcome you to this special one-off webisode, if that's even what they're calling it these days. But nevertheless, I'm grateful you have chosen to join me in this space. My name is Jasper Stevens. Many of you know me as Pastor J. But today, I don't want to be known by my title. I simply want to be known as a person. Yes, a person. It was pressed upon my heart to record this video and to call it Month of the Man. As many of you know, during the month of June, we celebrate Father's Day. So before we go any further, let me give a shout out to all the fathers out there. Whether you're a biological father, a stepfather, a spiritual father, a mentor, a coach, an uncle, whoever you are, or simply someone who carries the responsibility of guiding and shaping others, let me say to you, Happy Father's Day to you. But I was inspired to do this video for more than just acknowledging men who carry the title of father. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to speak to the human being behind the title. June is also, if you didn't know, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I felt it was fitting to have an honest conversation about the man behind the labels, the responsibilities, and the expectations that so many of us carry every single day. What many men will not tell you is that we often hide behind what we do. We become so consumed with our roles. We stop being human beings and start becoming human doers. We identify ourselves by our work, our responsibilities, our accomplishments, and our ability to solve problems. We wear strength so well that people often forget we are carrying weight. And the reality is this, that many men are struggling silently. Statistics tell us that millions of men in the United States experience depression every year. Even more alarming, men die by suicide at a rate several times higher than women. I want us to think about this for a moment. The man sitting next to you in your church, the husband lying next to you in bed, the father who seems strong, the brother who always has a smile on his face, the friend who is everyone's support system. Any one of them could be silently battling depression, anxiety, loneliness, grief, or even emotional exhaustion. But listen, I don't come to you today as an expert in mental health. That's not what I'm doing. I don't come as someone who has mastered this journey. I come as someone who has wrestled with this. In fact, I battled a long season of depression from 2020 until 2024. See, this began when my mother passed away from esophagus cancer. See, at that time, I was a husband, a father, a provider. I was working a full-time job while serving in a local ministry as an executive pastor. And like many leaders, I was navigating the uncertainties of a global pandemic while doing everything I could to make sure that the church remained strong and people remained connected. Not because anyone pressured me to. That's just what I do. I fix things. I solve problems. I carry burdens. I show up. I'm the dependable one. The one people call when they need help. The one who figures it out. The one who keeps moving. The one who keeps producing. The one who keeps pouring. But what I didn't recognize, or what I didn't realize, was that while I was busy holding on and holding everything together, I was falling apart. While I was helping everyone else heal, I wasn't giving myself permission to grieve. While I was carrying everyone else's burdens, I wasn't acknowledging the weight of my own. And somewhere along the way, the fixer became the one who was broken. That's why I wanted to lead and have this conversation, because I know that I'm not the only man who has felt this way. Maybe you're carrying more than you are told anyone. Maybe you're exhausted from being strong. Maybe you've confused your value with your productivity. Maybe you've spent so much time taking care of everyone else that you've forgotten how to care for yourself. If that's you, this conversation is for you. For the rest of the month, I want to talk honestly about manhood, mental health, healing, grief, purpose, identity, and what it means to be whole, not just successful. Because before we are fathers, before we are husbands, before we are pastors, before we are providers, leaders, or professionals, we are people. And healthy men build healthy families, and healthy families build healthy communities. One of my favorite movies is The Dark Knight Rises. In this film, the character Bane makes a powerful statement. And he says this, he says, "No one cared who I was until I put on the mask." Now, Bane's story is that he was an outcast, a man who endured pain, rejection, and suffering. The mask became more than something he wore. It became his identity. It gave him significance. It gave him power. It gave him a way to hide his vulnerability, his weakness, his failure, his insecurities. And if we were honest, many of us do the same thing. Our mask may not be physical, but we wear one nonetheless. Sometimes our mask is our titles, such as pastor, father, husband, CEO, a provider, the leader, a coach, the mentor. We hide behind what we do because it's easier than revealing who we are. We mask our trauma with our titles. We cover our pain with performance. We conceal our wounds with productivity. We show up as the person everyone needs us to be while silently neglecting the person we actually are. People applaud the role, but never see the struggle. They celebrate the title, but don't recognize the torment. They admire the strength, but never notice the scars. And over time, what happens is this: we become emotionally incarcerated, trapped behind an image we're worked so hard to maintain. We smile while grieving. We lead while bleeding. Encourage others while privately battling discouragement. Carry everyone else's burdens while refusing to acknowledge our own. The tragedy is not that we wear masks. The tragedy is that after wearing them long enough, we forgot where the mask ends and where we begin. We become so identified with our roles that we lose touch with the person beneath it. But healing begins when we stop hiding behind the mask and allow God to minister to the man underneath it. Because God is not impressed by the title. He wants the person. He doesn't heal the mask. He heals the man behind it. So today, there are two audiences that I briefly want to speak to. First, the support team, which is the wife, the children, the family member, the friends, the brothers, the comrades, the mentors, the Aaron and hers in man's life, the people who help hold up his arms when he's too tired to hold them up himself. And then I want to speak directly to the man behind the mask. Let me begin with the support team. One of the greatest misconceptions about a man is that because we appear strong, we must be okay. Because we show up, we must be happy. We show up, we must be healthy. Because we keep producing, we must be thriving. But many men have been conditioned to survive, not necessarily to express. How a man shows up is often how he grew up. Many men were taught early in his life that vulnerability was weakness, that emotions were liabilities, that asking for help was a sign of failure. Society has often reinforced those messages. Men are supposed to be providers, protectors, problem solvers, and even pillars of strength. So when life gets difficult, many don't process their emotions, they bury them. What makes this even more challenging is that many intellectually strong men are emotionally incarcerated. They can solve complex problems at work, lead organizations, build businesses, manage teams, develop strategies, fix everyone else's issues, yet struggle to articulate what is happening within their hearts. Not because they don't have emotions, but because they have never been given permission. They've never been given the language or the safety to express them. So when you ask a man, "How are you doing?" and he responds, "I'm fine," don't always assume that he means he is fine. Sometimes "I'm fine" means I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I carry more than I know how to say, I don't want to burden anyone, I don't know how to explain what I'm feeling, I've been strong so long that I don't know how to be anything else. The support team must learn to listen beyond the words. Learn to observe changes in his behavior. Learn to notice when he becomes withdrawn. when he unusually quiet, when frustration seems linger longering than normal, when his joy begins to disappear, when the things he once loved no longer interest him. Sometimes the cry for help is not spoken, it's demonstrated. And one of the greatest gifts you can give a man is a safe place. Not a place of judgment, not a place where every vulnerability is weaponized later, not a place where every weakness is viewed as failure, but a place where he can be fully human. I've been married to my wife for almost 24 years, and one of the things she has learned to do exceptionally well is study me. She has learned my pattern. She has learned my silence. She has learned the difference between when I am simply tired and when something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Over the years, she has learned how to ask the right questions, not questions that corners me, not questions that interrogate me, but questions that invite me, questions that create safety, questions that communicate. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm just trying to understand you. She helped create language in a relationship that made vulnerability feel safe. And because she created that safe space, I found myself becoming more willing to share what was happening beneath the surface. Support isn't always about having the right answers. Sometimes support is creating the right environment. An environment where a man doesn't have to perform. An environment where he doesn't have to have all the answers. An environment where he can remove the mask and still be loved. That is one of the greatest gifts that you can give the man in your life. Now, I want to speak directly to the man behind the mask. Brother, you are performing well, but you are dying slow. You are hustling, you are grinding, you're securing the bag, you're achieving goals, you're checking the boxes, you're showing up for everyone else. But beneath all the accomplishments, may be an insecure heart that is longing to be seen. The truth is this: before your support squad can see beyond the mask, you have to be willing to take it off. You have stopped finding your identity in what you do and start securing your identity in whose you are. Because you were never created merely to produce. You were never created simply to hustle. You were never designed to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were created to depend on God. And you were created to find rest. Not merely physical rest, not a vacation, not a day off, but soul rest. The kind of rest that comes from trusting God with what you can no longer carry. Jesus says this: "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, "Come to me when you figured it all out." He didn't say, "Come to me when you're strong." He didn't say, "Come to me when you're fixed yourself." He simply said, "Come." And when we come to him, something beautiful happens. We exchange our burdens for his peace. We exchange our striving for his grace. We exchange our exhausted hearts for sustaining presence. I've often said that even Superman has to be Clark Kent. The problem is that many men never take off the cape. You've been carrying it for so long that it becomes part of your identity. You've everyone's superhero, everyone's provider, everyone's protector, everyone's solution. But the cape that once helped you survive may now be choking the life out of you. You weren't meant to carry it every day. You weren't meant to save everyone. You weren't meant to be invincible. You are human, and that's okay. I want you to know today that you are seen. Not for your title, not for your paycheck, not for your accomplishments, not for your position, not for what you produce. You are seen beyond your role. We see the weight you carry. We see the worries you don't talk about. We see the pressure you feel to provide, to protect, to perform. We see the battles you fight in silence. And most importantly, God sees you. Your masculinity is not defined by how much pain you can endure without speaking. Real strength is having the courage to be honest. Real strength is allowing yourself to heal. Real strength is surrendering what you've been carrying to God. As I close, I want to leave you with the framework inspired by Jason Wilson's book, The Man the Moment Demands. These are 4 R's, and they are reflect, release, reset, and rest. Reflect on what you've been carrying. Release what was never yours to hold. Reset your identity around who God says you are and rest in his presence. As you end this month of the man, I want to leave you with one question. Who are you when you're no longer trying to be what everyone expects? Who are you when the title is removed? Who are you when the applause stops? Who are you when the masks come off? For some, this may be the end of the month, but my prayer is that it becomes the beginning of a new life. A life where you stop surviving and you start thriving. A life where you stop performing and you start healing. A life where you stop hiding and you start becoming the man God created you to be. Take off the mask, secure your identity, receive his rest, and thrive. Grace and peace, family.